Welcome back to Economics 590. This is Keith Hall again. This is a course in the federal budget process. This video, we want to talk about federal trust funds. This is a particular type of spending and revenue. That's a very important part of the federal budget. The first important thing to know about federal trust funds is that they're not like private trust funds. In fact, there's very little about a federal trust fund that lives up to the name trust in this sense. First, federal trust funds are no more than an accounting mechanism to link earmarked receipts with corresponding expenditures. So they're just trying to link receipts with expenditures. And when receipts exceed expenditures, and that happens to most of the funds, at least for some time period, there's money accumulated, and the money's not set aside, and the money's not invested in any private assets. Instead, the money in the fund is taken by the Treasury Department, taken by the government, and they get issued a government account series securities to put into the fund rather than the actual money. And Treasury takes the money and uses it for other parts of the government. So this money really isn't accumulated. It's replaced with securities, and it's used to pay other federal debt. It's the so-called intergovernmental debt. Most of it is borrowing of this type. So you essentially have the Treasury Department borrowing from the funds to run the general government. The current balance for trust funds is about $5.2 trillion. So that's how much they have sitting around in securities rather than cash. But that balance is declining, meaning that for a while the receipts exceeded expenditures for most of these, and now the receipts are starting to slow down, expenditures are starting to rise. This is primarily because of an aging population, and the amount of money in these trust funds is going down. Here are the major trust funds. These are the largest trust funds. We have two associated with Social Security. We have a couple associated with Medicare. We have a trust fund for military retirement money, civilian retirement money. Those are federal workers. We have unemployment insurance, the Highway Trust Fund, Airport and Airway Trust Fund, Railroad Retirement Trust Fund, and then a collection of some other trust funds. So you'll see this is a table of the current balances and the forecast balances over the next year, so you can see roughly where they are right now. So, for example, the total trust fund balance for the federal government is about $5.2 trillion. By far the biggest trust fund is the Old Age and Survivors Insurance. That's got about $2.7 trillion in the fund right now, but you'll see that's very quickly disappearing. It'll go down, 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 and in roughly 10 years, it's going to be about half a trillion dollars from $2.7 trillion. You'll see the Social Security Disability Insurance, which is pretty large, going broke in 2026. They're going to run out of money. You see in Medicare, the hospital insurance, Part A, that goes broke in a few years. The other trust funds are not going down so quickly. Military retirement, civilian retirement, that's holding up. But it's the big ones that are creating a problem. And you'll see that overall, the trust fund balance is going to be down significantly in 10 years. And if we expand this and go out further in the future, those numbers are only going down. And again, this is the aging population. And the aging population means that people become recipients of payouts from these trust funds and they stop working. They stop paying into it. So, of course, the trust fund balances decline. The biggest by far is one of the Social Security trust funds, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance. This provides benefits to retired workers and families and some survivors of deceased workers. Most of you listening to this are going to be part of this trust fund. This is set aside for you. There's $2.8 trillion in it. It's the largest by far, and it's heading towards bankruptcy. Disability insurance is available to some people with disabilities. That has about $95 billion in it. Now, both these trust funds are financed through the same payroll tax on worker earnings. So you'll look and see that your earnings in your paycheck, there's this 12.4% payroll tax in there. Half of it's paid by the worker, so it'll show up as 6.2% in your paycheck. Half of it's paid by the employer. And once the money's collected, most of it, 10.6% of the 12.4% goes to the old age and survivors insurance. The remaining 1.8% goes to disability. Although Congress has seen fit to move money around between those two trust funds, so to some degree that distinction doesn't really make a difference. The federal employee retirement programs, there's the military retirement program, there's the civilian retirement program. Each of those has around $1 trillion in the funds. Those have accumulated that money and will continue to accumulate as transfers from federal agencies. In other words, as part of the employee compensation for military and civilian employees to have the federal government put money into their trust fund. And then there's some payroll deduction from workers as well. And then that money is also supplemented by the Treasury Department. They have some general funds, general tax revenue that they'll put into these funds as well. And then there are the Medicare trust funds. There are two of those. These trust funds are designed to pay for Medicare benefits. There's the fund for Part A Medicare, which is the Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, which makes payments to hospitals and providers under Part A of the Medicare program. And this is funded by the Medicare payroll tax. It's about 2.9% tax on earnings. Half of it comes from employees, half from employers. So if you look carefully in your paycheck, you'll see about 1.5% Medicare payroll tax on there. Then there's a supplementary medical insurance trust fund, which makes payments for outpatient services and prescription drugs under Parts B and D of Medicare. And this one's funded from the general fund of the Treasury. It doesn't have a dedicated funding source. Treasury just collects everybody's taxes and puts it into the general fund, and then some of it's used to pay for the supplementary medical insurance fund. And a lot of these are going broke because of the aging population. More people receiving benefits than paying in taxes. Social Security old age survivors is going broke. It'll be broke out here sometime in the early 2030s. The Medicare hospital insurance will go broke. Social Security disability insurance will go broke here. Highway Trust Fund will go broke there. To give you some idea what that means, here's the Social Security Trust Fund. This is the combined trust fund for the old age and the disability. Here are the scheduled benefits from here up to here. Here are the revenues. You notice now we're in this period where the benefits exceed the revenues. So this gap here is the depletion of the fund itself. The fund is now going down. And once it hits zero, under current law, Social Security is not allowed to pay the benefits. In fact, the Social Security is going to have to lower benefits down to the revenue part because the fund is empty. And so the only benefits they'll be able to pay under current law will come out of current revenues. So this is going to be a major issue right here when this happens, because Congress is going to have to seriously consider changing the law. They're going to have to consider where to get money to pay for these additional benefits, or they're going to have to reduce the benefits. So again, that's a quick picture of the federal trust funds. As you see, they're not very much like private trust funds. And as we've seen many times, Congress is perfectly willing to move the money around in the trust funds and change the rules of the trust funds.